Let's go back to the Tulsa commemorative event yesterday, where the man who bears the title of president had this to say about the greatest threat to America. Cut one.
As I said in my address at the joint session of Congress, according to the intelligence community, terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacists.
Okay, I know he has an opinion on this. He's a very reliable friend of America First, an outspoken patriot from Project 21. Horace Cooper, welcome back to America First.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to come on the program.
Buddy, I just got to ask your reaction. White supremacy is, according to Joe Biden, the greatest threat Americans face. Your reaction?
It's very difficult for me to really get shocked by this administration, but they really, really try to make a shocking position. There is little to no evidence. There is a white supremacy threat that causes America to have to be worried, that America needs to be on guard, or that we need to be on heightened alert.
When you look at the figures, Horace, for crime, for violence, for murder in the black community, can you give us a more balanced, a more reasoned analysis for the nature of that violence, of that crime?
When you look at 2019, you look at 2018, what you see is a decline in 2018 from 2017 in terms of risk factors of crime in Black America and America at large. The same is true in 19. But in 2020, what you saw was a dramatic spike.
Well, we lost you there for a second. In 2020, you saw a dramatic spike. If that's the case, was that white supremacy rearing its ugly head, or what else could it be?
What you saw is a tact on the part not of white males. What you saw are attacks on Asians, on Black Americans, on white Americans that was disproportionately being done by Black Americans.
Why can't the Democrats say that? Why is it impossible just to reiterate the actual facts of the statistics, Horace?
Well, it serves a very, very useful narrative to create the impression that in America, the risk that you face comes from some white male. You may recall there was this conversation, it was called The Talk, in which parents were being encouraged to have a sit down with their children to discuss the risks that their children face, particularly if those children were Black. The one fact that was failed to be shared was that a Black kid is more likely than any other kid to be assaulted, raped, or robbed by a Black kid. Not by the police, not by a white guy, and not by a Hispanic, but by a Black kid. In fact, disproportionately in America, we have been seeing this elevation. It started in New York. It's now in New Orleans. It's in Chicago. It's in Los Angeles. Black victims of crime are overwhelmingly being victimized by other Blacks. And what we're also seeing is whenever the race of the victimizer and victim are different, more often than not, a majority of the time, even the victimizer is. Where could you possibly conclude that the problem in America is somehow white supremacists? They're not burning houses down. They're not robbing banks. They're not stealing cars. They're not assaulting people. They're not pushing them into the subway. There's no evidence of that. And yet, every day, you see alternative evidence, not alternative facts, actual facts, that show that if we don't do something of the crime wave in America,
You're breaking up again. I'm going to have to ask you one last question. We got 30 seconds. What is the possible outcome if they continue to push this false narrative of white supremacy being the threat? What could be the worst case scenario, Horace Cooper?
Well, the big problem is we won't solve the problem. We won't deal with the problem. We won't warn our families who it is that we're at risk from. The problem is the boogeyman is not actually robbing and raping and committing mayhem. Shame on the Biden administration for refusing to tell the truth about what the real threat is.
And it could be worse. It could be worse than that. You could be painting the devil on the wall. Follow this man and his colleagues at Project 21 News. Horace Cooper living like a free man in the free state of Texas. And we have news from Governor Abbott's office from Texas after these messages. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, don't touch that dial.